Hi, so you probably know at this point that finding a cheap point-and-shoot camera isn't so easy. First of all, there's not that many of them, but I have two of them here. This is the Kodak FZ45, which we're going to be reviewing and also comparing to a model which I recently reviewed, the FZ55. But the focus of this video is going to be on this FZ45, which, by the way, I have in white, but it does come in a variety of other colors too. So the FZ45 is small. I mean, it's really tiny, fits in the palm of your hand. Plus, it's got an optical zoom lens, a flash. But is it any good? Are the pictures good? It takes movies too. This video is sponsored by no one. Thank you, no one, for sponsoring this video. That's right, Kodak or nobody is sponsoring this video. So it's unbiased. I'm giving you my own unbiased review. I bought this with my own money. And fortunately, didn't have to spend a lot of money on this camera because it's $99 US. The 45 is just a little taller than the 55 and a little chunkier, you could see. It has that little curve on top. The rear screens are the same size. They have about the same controls. Both have lenses that extend a bit. But probably the biggest difference between the two is that the 45 uses two AA batteries to power the camera, whereas the 55 uses a small, thin, rechargeable battery that you just simply charge the battery while it's in the camera. This way you've got a full charge when it's done. Both cameras use SD cards, unlike your phone where the pictures are stored on the phone. You have to buy an SD card, which will set you back, maybe 20 or 30 bucks. So that'll add to the $100 US cost. So let me show you what does come in the box when you get it. Of course, you get the camera, a very nice, small, sleek little camera. Comes with a cable so you can transfer photos to your computer without having to remove the SD card. And it comes with two AA batteries. Now you see that 4 times? That's the zoom ratio. The 55 has a 5 times zoom, which means you can get a little closer. But here's the difference. Here it is at 4 times, and here it is at 5 times. So you can get in a little tighter on your subject with the FZ55, but it's really not that significant. Here's another angle. You see the birds perched on the roof? That's the wide angle shot, and this is the fully zoomed in shot. The zoom works in video too. You see the nice wide shot of the volleyball. And here is if you want to get in tight and see each individual player more closely. Now, if you'll notice on the little tags that come with the camera, you see that 27mm and 28mm? That refers to the wide angle. The 45 has the 27mm. It's just a tad wider. You may not even notice it, but look side by side. You see a little bit of the white on the edges. It's just slightly wider. So if you tend to shoot in tight spaces, this might be a consideration. As of the time of this video, the FZ45 was selling for $99 compared to $139 of the 55. Of course, those prices could change, but both very cheap. Neither of these cameras are waterproof, so you can't bring them underwater unless you put them in some sort of special housing. And I don't recommend using them in the rain. I mean, if it just gets a little splash, it's okay, but if it starts to rain, make sure that they're protected. So the FZ45 is a point-and-shoot camera, which means just that. You point and you shoot, and a lot of times you just have to point and shoot because there is a screen. There is no viewfinder where you can put your eye up against. And a lot of other more professional cameras, you have to rely on the rear screen, which, by the way, is not that great in bright light situations. I find it very difficult, just like the FZ55, to really see, especially if the sun is out. So you have to just sort of trust, point at it. To use your camera, get the subject in the center of the frame, half press the shutter button, you'll see a green box, press it all the way down, and you got your shot. To zoom in, the T and W rocker switches on the top. T is for telephoto, and it shows you how far zoomed in you are on that little graph. Now to play back your pictures, you hit the play button, and you use that T and W button to actually zoom in or zoom out on the picture along with the control wheel on the back. It's not a touch screen, so you can't pinch into your photos like a phone. You can't touch the screen anywhere. It just won't work. On the side of the camera is that USB connection to connect your camera to your computer to watch your pictures. The buttons on top are a power button, a dedicated movie button, and then the shutter button for photos. Both the 45 and 55 share the same imaging sensors, so here they are side by side. Expect both cameras to look the same. One is really not better than the other in terms of image quality. This guy gets the exact same spot with his cool car at the mall, so I use that a lot of times as a camera test. I can crop in and look, you can even read the writing on the door despite the fact that it's a small sensor. Now, I'm not sure how he gets the same spot every day, but not a good a spot as this guy gets right inside the mall. And you can see with mixed lighting, it does pretty well. And here it is in sunset. I like some of the shots that this camera gets during sunsets and low light scenes. It still holds up pretty well. Now, shooting directly into the sun can give your lens some strange reflections or ghosting or flare, and you see it. And it's kind of interesting. I think it gives the lens a little character. Now, not every shot was in focus. Low light, it's going to be a little hard to keep focus. Here's a video shot you could see. Again, probably shouldn't point the camera right into the sun, so I don't recommend doing that because it could harm the sensor. But look at those reflections, those circles. And this one is really strange. Now, this is in the movie mode, obviously, 1080p movie mode. You can see how it goes from light to dark. And I consider this not too bad. I mean, it was really dark. The camera really wasn't struggling that much. Not as much as this guy is struggling to get through the sand. Now, this camera may be perfect to bring to concerts or band performances because of its small size. It's inconspicuous. So I want to show you how it does and how it does as the lights start to drop. I should have done a Coldplay moment here, huh? Or maybe not. You may have noticed the focus starts to go in and out a little bit, like right here. That's because it's zoomed in and in lower light. But it usually catches up and then stays locked on, even when it's very low light. A nice small camera to carry around with you just for basic snapshots. That's exactly what this camera really was designed for, to capture those moments where you don't feel like taking out your phone. And again, there's enough resolution in the sensor. You can crop in on Mr. Bones and read all about him. Just be careful. If there's a lot of motion in your frame, like even people walking, there's going to get a blurring. That's because the aperture of the lens is pretty slow and it just can't gather that much light. But again, here are some low light scenes without a lot of motion, and I think the colors are nice. There's not too much grain, and I was kind of surprised that the camera did as well as it did. There's a little squirrel on that telephone pole, and I tried to zoom in on it. It came out a little blurry because, again, there's motion, so it's kind of tough. But for static objects, you'll get a lot better result when the lights are low. Now, if you want to see flowers really up close, there is a macro mode, and when you click that on, you can get really close to the lens for flowers, insects, whatever. The camera also offers some vintage looks to make it look like old-time photos, like black and white or sepia, or certain modes to increase the colors or give the look a bit of a dreamy look. Here is increased color saturation to make the colors pop a little more. Here's that dreamy look. There's a panorama mode. You have to sweep the camera left to right or right to left slowly. And, well, just like with the FZ55, this looks weird. But there is a self-timer mode, and the camera has good autofocus and face detect. You see it captured my face, and you see the flash that went off. And I really like using the flash, especially during daytime, because it helps with shadows. The camera also has some other scene modes, which you can use for various situations like party and snow and pet. You can play around with it. It really doesn't do that much. The night portrait mode attempts to keep the background lit up in addition to you if it's dark out. And you can see it worked out pretty well. And there's a few other modes for portraits. One that's like a skin beautifier, which doesn't really do much. Most of these are kind of hokey and gimmicky, but you can play around with it. Like the night landscape mode recommends you're on a tripod, but who's got a tripod? And so it came out blurry compared to hand holding an iPhone. The iPhone did better. But iPhones don't give you a lot of manual control, and if you ever want to get more advanced with this camera, you can go into a manual mode and change around your aperture and shutter speed if you decide you want to get more into photography and get more creative. So that's an advantage of this camera over a phone. Now here's a nice picture I took at an outdoor party. For the next shot, I put the camera into the scene party mode, and really not sure what the benefit is. But for the most part, I think the camera captured the nice colors of the event, of the food, of the paella. Here it is in movie mode. Nice vibrant colors. It's exactly how it looked, and everybody's digging in. Are we getting hungry yet? Now the camera does have the Kodak name on it, but as I explained in my other video, it's not the same Kodak that you remember back in the olden days. The Kodak name was licensed out and sold, but however, they are making products. They've made recently an 8mm old movie camera. So let me answer the question, between the FZ45 and FZ55, which one do I prefer? Great question, thanks for asking. As far as size goes, they're both small enough that I can put in my pocket. And as I showed you before, the zoom difference is really nominal. I prefer the ergonomics of the 45. You see the curve here? Acts like a little grip. With the 55, I just feel that it's there's no way to really put my fingers comfortably. This gives you just a little more room. Now, if you're using like a wrist strap, maybe that doesn't make a difference. If you look at the top, the shutter button is a round, larger button. The 55 has this little rectangular button. I just find it easier to find the shutter button with my finger. Maybe I'm used to like round shutter buttons. My finger just lands on it a little easier, so I prefer that with the 45. In addition, and this is an important one for me, is the flash placement. If you notice where the flash is located on the 55, it's very easy to be blocked by your finger just based on how you're holding the camera, and you may not realize it till after you get home. With the 45, the flash is a little more in the middle. There's more room. It's a little bigger face, so to speak, of the camera. So if you hold the camera like this, you're less likely to block the flash with your finger. So now, using AA batteries to charge the camera is unusual. Most cameras have like a dedicated battery. I suppose it's an advantage of like if you forget them on a vacation, you can just buy AA batteries, but they'll only give you 120 shots compared to 200 shots with this guy here on the FZ55. So if it were up to me, I would prefer to have that small, thin, rechargeable battery. You get more shots on it. It's smaller. And since you don't get that many shots on the AA batteries, you have to carry 2 extra ones around just to be safe. And they're kind of like, they may jostle around in your bag. I mean, who wants to carry around extra batteries like that? So honestly, I do prefer the FZ55 system with the smaller, thinner, rechargeable battery. Let me ask you another question. Why get this camera over a phone? Why not just use your phone? Well,
I recommend using a real camera.
Well, there are advantages, actually. If you take out a camera, like at a party, it'll be a conversation starter. It's like everybody uses their phone now, so you'll be the center of attention.
That's a camera? That's a camera.
Plus, maybe you're also getting into photography. You want to learn how to use a camera, so it's a good starting point. So to be honest, I'm actually pleasantly surprised with this. At the price point, I was expecting a piece of junk, and I was ready just to actually trash it. But I'm not going to, because I really think the pictures that come out of this, and that's the most important thing, is how well does it do, are respectable. If you hold this camera steady, if you have reasonable expectations, and if it's not going to be the same as a professional camera, this camera here around $100 US seems like a bargain. Thanks very much for watching. I appreciate your support. Stay tuned. And I do have a full review of the FZ55, and I'm also going to be coming out with a how-to guide, beginner introduction tutorial on both cameras, so subscribe for that. I appreciate your support. Stay tuned for more camera reviews and tech reviews on Tech to Remember, where old tech meets new tech. See you in the next one.